Hey, hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome. Hope all of you are able to see my screen and hope all of you can hear me. Can I have a quick confirmation? Guys, can I have a quick confirmation?
Yes, Murli, we can hear you.
Perfect. Thanks, Mohanty. Thanks for the confirmation. All right. So we were discussing about clinical events. That's the domain that we have started yesterday. So on a very nutshell, we can say that the clinical events are the one. So this domain primarily capture symptoms and side effects of your study treatment are the study drug, correct? Or simply, it is going to capture all the events which are not classified as adverse events. Adverse events is something like which is not any unforeseen conditions or anything that we are not expected to happen, but that event has happened. Those will be classified as your adverse. Anything which is not adverse, primarily the symptoms and side effects of your drug that you are testing or the treatment that you are giving is called clinical events, correct? So here we have seen we have taken COVID vaccine is one of the example. So fever, body pains are the expected ones. These are going to be the side effects of this particular vaccine. So these will be called as your clinical events, whereas clotting, vomiting, all these will be of your adverse event. These are not expected. These are not the ones which are, the side effects of this particular drug. But still, if you're facing it, meaning something is wrong, which is not related to this particular drug, but you're experiencing it, you can call it as a adverse event. Then we talked about nature, that is one record per clinical event per subject. What is going to be the topic variable for us? The topic variable is going to be CDISC, right? So more detailed discussion of the CDISC we can see it down. So the identifier variables are nothing but your study identifier, your domain, unique subject identifier, your sequence number, group ID, reference ID, and sponsor defined identifier. All these are your identifier variables. Then you have your topic variable called CE term. The CE term is nothing but just like your AU term, MH term, your DS term. Here you have the CE term. Remember, guys, one thing I would like to tell you very clearly. One thing I would like to inform you to all. Remember this. You don't need to go with each and every domain, right? Every domain you don't need to go with a clear understanding. Don't consider it as a wrong advice. I'll tell you the reason for it. Let's say under the events domain, if you learn one event, if you're very good with one event, all other events are going to be similar only, correct? Let's say you started with adverse. So if you're well versed with adverse event, right? Meaning what data will flow under this domain, if you're clear with that. The terms are the variables that you are going to use it under your clinical events. Can I say similar? Almost all the variables, most of the variables are repetitive, right? But you need to understand what kind of data flow here and what kind of data flow here. The first one is for unforeseen events or sudden events. The second one is going to be the symptoms, or it is going to be the side effects. Then medical history. Again, the same. Terminology is going to be the same. But what data will flow here? The previous medical history. From the time you sign your consent form to till before you start your treatment, between that particular period, you are going to record all the things. Right? All the medical history. You need to say what kind of diseases or what is the illness that particular subject faced. Is the subject faced with any of the accidents before? Correct? This and all comes under your medical history. Disposition. Again, what is the status of the subject? Is the subject completed the complete clinical trials or not? If not, at what phase or at what stage he or she left the trials? Correct? What stage the trial the particular person has missed it? Is the particular missed because of the protocol deviation, or it is going to be something called what is the other one? One is the protocol deviation, And another one is going to be, can someone please tell me? Yesterday only we discussed. What and all the disposition domain is going to be recorded? Guys, some answers please. If you give answers that I can get some confirmation that you are remembering this particular subject and you are just following it. What are they? Disposition events or the protocol milestones? What are the disposition events? Any screen failure information, treatment, adverse events, study completed or not, death. All these one comes under your disposition events. Protocol milestones are going to be either the informed consent is obtained or not, randomization done or not, will fall under DS. Correct? So we have done around 5 different domains here: adverse, medical history, clinical, disposition, right? When you look into this, you can understand one thing. Even we discussed about other ones. Sorry, I haven't mentioned it. DV, protocol deviation. Why the deviation has happened? That is also we discussed, correct? Right? Is the deviation, what and all the deviations that have happened within the your clinical trials. All, if you look into these 5 domains now, if you are well versed with one, the remaining 4 are going to be straightway and easy only. Correct? Almost all the similar terms, almost all the definitions are going to be the same. Everything remains going to be the same. There won't be much difference there. Correct? So concentrate on one domain in each of this particular category. It doesn't mean that the guys don't read or don't practice. I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you the reason. I'm just giving you, right, all I can say that suggestion to smartly learn your SDTM domains. It is difficult to go with all the domains, difficult to remember all the variables, labels, and all, right? But if you are well versed with one, then automatically others are going to be simple and easy to follow. Remember, even how good you are, how strong you are in your, what to say, domain. While you're writing the code, while you're defining your variables, you open your SDTM implementation guide, then only you're going to do anything. Okay, so don't worry about it. All you need to understand is try to concentrate, try to learn at least one particular domain in each of this particular event properly. That will help. Clear, guys? Whatever I'm saying is that making sense? Right? It is not something I'm discouraging you to learn all the topics, all the domains, but I'm telling you how smartly you can do it. All right. Having said that, let's go with the other one. CE code, that is nothing but it is going to be dictionary derived code for your CE term. A CE category is nothing but category of your clinical event, what kind of category it is. Even if you go with further categorization, that is going to be a subcategory. Pre-specified is nothing but, sorry about it, just give me a second. All right, sorry guys. Now this is pre-specified, whether nothing but is this particular one is pre-specified in your CRS or not, right? So yesterday we talked about CE occurrence, there we stopped. CE occurrence is all about, even the same one we also discussed in the MH occur, that is nothing but medical history. Whatever the event you're talking about, is it having reoccurrence or not? Will it have, will it, like you're going to ask this by your patient or your subject, right? Is it a occurrence, reoccurrence is there or not, right? So that you are going to ask, that you are going to define. That is nothing but the clinical event occurrence. Meaning, let's say that because of this particular medicine, the patient, the subject is getting rash, right? The subject is getting rash. Let's say today you have taken the drug, morning 500 mg of the pill you have taken, right? So maybe within half an hour after you consume this particular drug, you got the rash. Again, Evening you are going to take this particular drug, again 500 mg, and as a result of that, again you are going to face this particular rash. You are going to experience this particular rash on your body. This is going to be the occurring one. The nature of this particular drug is that when you consume it, you are going to experience it. So it is nothing but your CE occurrence. Again, the control terminologies are going to be yes or no. Only two options are there. Is it going to be an occurring one or not occurring one? That's it. Only two things. All right. Let me open this one as well. SDTM implementation guide. Because we are going in that flow, right? As is we are going, right? Just see where we are. Domains, not 4.1.3. It will be not the special purpose domains. DM, subject elements. Yeah, not the SV, not medical history. The explosion. Just a second, guys. Test demographics. Page down. Elements. I'm little off today. Please don't mistake. These are special purpose. Just a second, guys. See. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. What was the last one that we have discussed? We discussed about CE occurrence. Okay. So after the CE occurrence, the next thing that we are going to discuss is going to be, if you want to have an example for this particular one, for an example, Murli, how do I understand this particular one? Let's say you can just go with one of the unit subject ID. All right. Then go with your CE term and then just see whether it is a pre-specified event or not, right? And let's say CE occurrence. What is the CE occurrence? Right, let's go with this. So simply we can say that there is a patient called 111 subject ID. CE term is going to be like, let's say, headache. You can experience headache for this particular one. We talked about rash, right? Let's go with that. Right? Is it pre-specified or not? Yes, it is the nature, it is pre-specified. Right? For one of the subject, let's say subject 111, it is reoccurring. For this particular one, it is occurring again and again. Whenever they take this particular study drug, it is happening. So there is another subject. For them also, it is going to be a pre-specified one. There is no difference at all. But when it comes to the occurrence, this particular person, because of the nature of the body and all, because of the resistance that he or she have, it is not a recurring event. The term remains going to be the same. Both of them are going to be the pre-specified things, but one subject is getting this occurrence is happening again and again, whereas for the other subject it is not happening. For the other subject it is simply not occurring. Correct? So this is how you can understand it. Is that making sense, guys? How do you define your CE occur? Can I have a quick confirmation from everyone? Right? The next one is going to be a CE stat. The name itself is going to tell you what is the CE stat. Completion status. Done or not. Only two things. Right? That is, you have collected all the things or not. That is, all the questions in the pre-specified list answered or not. All right, whether all the questions in the pre-specified list, that is, status of all the pre-specified list answered or not. So what are going to be the control terminologies again for this? Either it is going to be done or it is not. It is going to be not done. Only two things. Most of the times we are not going to mention done. Only we are going to mention if all the questions are not answered, right? All the questions are not answered in the pre-specified list. We will mention it as not done. It is almost similar to your medical history one. So you have MH stat here, right? Same one. Either you are going to mention whether it is going to be done or it is not going to be, it is not done. Only two things. But main thing that you need to understand here is, right? You need to understand one thing here. There is going to be a time variable. We are going to discuss that anyways, right? Note, just understand that. If CESDDTC, what do you mean by that? SDTTC is nothing but the start, date, and time in the character format. Correct? Clinical event, start, date, and time in the clinical trials. If it is equal to missing or is missing, then your CA stat is nothing but not done. Straightforward. That is, you don't have timestamp. You don't have time details of your when this particular clinical event started. The state start date and time is not there. Straight away you can mention that it is not done. Okay, but here you also need to understand one thing. That is, whenever it is not captured, you can see MH reason not done, right? Why it is not done? The same thing you need to mention here as well. Wherever your CE state is not done, then you need to enter the reason for it. Why it is not done. Captures a reason for clinical event not done. Remember this. Same thing we are going to repeat again and again. Most of the time it is going to be a free text, right? So what are the things I can do? I can go with all these three. Either patient refused to give the information, patient left the site early, or forgot to ask. All of them are valid only, right? Just like your medical history, whatever you have given, the same thing you are going to give here. Again, the next thing, CE body says that is nothing but yeah. What is this? Body system, or it is going to be a organ class, the same one. So it is there in every place, correct? It is there here also. MH body sys. See, here it is, right? Who is going to do this? Used by the sponsor from the coding dictionary. As per your MEDDR, you are going to write it. Contains standard of care information. Copy this. The same thing you are going to mention here as well. Remember, that's the reason I just told you a couple of minutes back. If you know what kind of data is flowing in the system, that is more than sufficient, because all of them are going to be similar. Then you have CE severity. So what is CE severity? Where I can get this particular one? I can have this particular one in your adverse events. In the adverse event, you have AEC, the severity, or what is the other thing? The impact. Either you can call it as a severity or you can call it as the impact of this one, intensity of this particular one. So what is going to be the terminologies? Either you can mention this as going to be the mild or moderate, or it is severe. Correct? Instead of this, we can call it as a clinical event. That's the only difference. Correct? What else we have? Then we have CEDTC. Date of collection. It is there everywhere. CEDTC is nothing but, if you go to medical history, you have MHDTC. Correct? If you go to your AE, you have AE. What is the one? Here we have multiple things. For AE, you have multiple things, right? You are going to calculate star SDDY. Then you are going to calculate your what is the other one? Start you are going to calculate, end you are going to calculate, again you are going to calculate the references. There are a lot of date and time periods we are going to calculate here. Correct? You can see study start date, all these things you are going to calculate here. But when it comes to this particular one, it is similar to your MH. It is going to talk about when you have collected this particular one, right? I can copy the same. Instead of medical history collection, I can simply say that date and the time of clinical event collection, right? The same thing I can also put here, clinical event collection date. Done. What is the next thing? This is what just now we have discussed while explaining this here. It is going to be clinical event, or I can say start date or time of clinical event. Am I correct or not? It is going to be start date and time of the clinical event. Again, it is going to be a character format. It is going to be in IS 8601 DAR in DT. The same one, if I go with the end date, it is going to be this one. End date and time of the clinical event. Am I correct? What else is the next one? CEDY, study day of event collection. Study day of event collection. It is going to be medical history day of event collection. Then you are going to have adverse event day of the collection. All these things are going to be same time. So again, how you are going to calculate this? It is going to be derived based on two terms. Let's take this. Here, it is going to be not MHDTC. Instead of that, it is going to be CEDTC. That's it. I wrongly copied this, but no worries. Done. So your treatment reference, start date and timing, character format, you're going to get it from the DM domain. From the DM domain, you're going to get this one, and here you're going to get the remaining things. What is this one, Mohanty? This is not going to be in 8601 DA format because these are going to be the number of days. Either it is going to be a positive or going to be a negative. Am I correct?
Murli, no, no, just correct it. Is wrote 8610. Remember all those.
Okay. Okay. Here I have given correct one. The other one I have given wrong. Typo. Maybe I need to correct here as well. Thank you. So if you see all this, it's a copy paste. With the DA I have given correctly, but DD I have given in a wrong way. Correct? But fine, it is done. Maybe. Thank you for giving this correction. Hey, sorry guys, today we have a lot of production events, so I keep getting the calls. So that's the reason I'm placing on the mute. Sorry about it. All right. So what was the last thing we have discussed? CEDY. Now let's go with the next one, CESTRF. This is going to be um, just so it is going to be a reference point. That is nothing but we generally go with ENRFs, right? The ENRFs are going to be our end reference to the relative point. So this relative time period is going to be given by a sponsor, correct? So for that particular one, you are going to calculate. If you go with the previous ones, we calculated MHENRF, correct? We calculated AEENRF. Similarly, here we are going to calculate end relative reference as well as your start relative to your reference period. Remember, either it is going to be a start relative to the reference period or end to the reference period. Both of them will be defined by your sponsor. The reference period will be defined by the sponsor. It is going to be continuous, right? End relative to your reference period. Both of them, please remember, these are going to be the discrete ones, and we are going to have ongoing or before or after. These are the ones that we are going to get for this, right? You can see this is going to be defined as your reference period. Both of them will be defined by the sponsor itself. Okay, then most important thing that you need to understand here is going to be either how the values are going to be. The values are going to be like either the values are ongoing or missing. Only two things. Either it is going to be an ongoing one or it is going to be the missing values. Right? Then, how I'm going to define this particular one? So when it is going to be ongoing. So we have two different timestamps here, right? What is the first one? If you have your start date and time, when your clinical event start date is there. So this is not equal to null. At the same time, your end reference time period is there, right? This is equal to null. That is, you have a valid start date, but your end date is not defined yet. Then I can say that it is not end, it is still happening. I can say that your CNREF, that is CENREF, is going to be CENRF is going to be ongoing. So this is going to be, we have discussed this particular one in your adverse events. We have discussed this in the NH, medical history, and here also we are discussing it. Is that clear, guys? What it is exactly? It is going to be end relative to your reference period. Most of the times the values are going to be ongoing, right? So how it is going to be? If you don't have a valid start end date, but you have a valid start date, the meaning is it is continuing. For that, we are going to define it as ongoing. Clear? All right. What is the next one? We have the reference points now. That is your CESTRTPA. This is nothing but end reference, end relative to your, sorry, start relative to your reference time period or reference time point. TPT is nothing but your time point. R means reference time point. ST stands for start. The same thing if I write it for EN, that is going to be end. That is clinical event end relative to the reference time point. Right? So mostly we concentrate on the second one, but anyways we'll write both of them. What is that? Clinical event, or I can use this one. Start relative to the reference time point. This one, and relative to the reference time point. Only two things. Start a reference to the time point, end reference to the time point. Okay, end relative to the reference time point. So how do you define them? How do you define them? So this is pretty much equivalent to your what to say, from where I can get this is from the adverse events. This relative reference time point. Here it is. You can use the pretty much the same thing. Whatever you can have here, the same thing you can use it there. Everything remains going to be the same. End relative is going to be same. So how it is going to be? This I can mention it as timing identifies the end of event as being before or after. So what are going to be the control terminologies? If the clinical event happened before this, right, then you can say that your end reference time point is going to be before or after. Same thing, guys. It will be keep on repeating throughout. All of them are going to be repeated. That's it. So what we have discussed here, there are 4. If your clinical event happened before the treatment, then it is before. If clinical event happened after your treatment, then it is going to be after. You have the starting point, but you don't have the ending point ongoing. This one, see. Right. You don't have any information about your end reference, then it is not known, that is unknown. If both your clinical event as well as your this one, what is that? Treatment is happening on the same day, coincident. That's it. Clear? Whatever we defined in the AE, the same one we are defining here. Again and again we are discussing this. Right. We have one more. CENTPT, that is end reference time point. That is end reference or your clinical event end time point. Clinical event end time point. This is the last one. That is nothing but when was the last time it happened. That is when was the last time subject visited. That is going to be your end point. Am I correct or not? You can see this particular one. It is going to be end reference time point. This is the final visit. Most of the time it is going to be final visit. Right? So if you want, just quickly you can look into this particular example. Maybe I can show you the example also. You don't find difficulty here. This example is pretty much straightforward. You can see this. I have a patient, clinical domain, sorry, your clinical event, then followed by your what is going to be the unique subject ID, your sequence number. You can see symptoms, nausea, vomit, diarrhea, severe head pain. Is it pre-specified? Yes. C occurrence, you can see nausea is happening again and again, but vomiting, no. And for this particular one, the status is not done. Since the status is not done, you need to enter the reason code. Maybe it will enter in the second line. Or it is not entered. Ideally, guys, you need to enter the reason. Whenever your status is not done, you need to enter the reason for that as well. Right? Severity, you can see moderate and severe, and you can see the start dates as well as the dates. So pretty much the same ones are repeating again and again. So that's the reason I'm telling you guys, whenever you are looking for the domains, make sure learn one domain properly in that. The remaining you can put automatically. So if you see, we have completed special purpose domains as well as the events domain, right? So I'll teach you the coding part for your adverse events domain. I have the data sets and everything ready. I just prepared it properly now. Then from tomorrow, we are going to start, not from tomorrow, tomorrow I'm going to go with your adverse event code. And then from Monday onwards, we will go with the interventions, right? Everywhere you don't need to go with everything, even on the interventions also. Any idea what is called intervention is? Anyone? What is called intervention? You took the drug, right? Treatment, but indirectly, let's say that either treatment or drug, when you take it, what is happening to your body, right? After the drug, how your body is responding. Again, each one you're going to, let's say exposure will have some data, exposure as collected will have the different data. That is, you need to understand only the data flow. The rest of the time variables are all going to be the same again. Most of the things are going to be the same again. Only thing you need to understand is going to be what data will flow under each of this particular domain. If you go to standard implementation guide 3.3, you're going to have even the food domain there. What kind of food the patient has taken, and because of that what happened. Even that is there. But you don't read it at this particular point of time. I'm just telling you. All right. So today I'm stopping here, guys, because I just completed the clinical event. Tomorrow I'll go to the coding, so we can spend coding tomorrow. And from next week we can go ahead with the interventions. Friday I won't take the class. I supposed to go somewhere, so I'm not able to take the class on Friday. Tomorrow I'm going to give you the, once I complete this particular AE, I'm going to share the raw data sets. Remember, the raw data sets are not going to cover everything, all the domains. I'm going to tell you what domains it is going to cover, how to see that, right? You need to understand what domains you can work on. Even that is important, correct? I will explain that and I can give you the data sets so that you can work on that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and by Monday you can submit them. Clear? So that is what we are going to do for the domain. Anyone, any questions? All right. So I'm going to wind up the session today here itself, and tomorrow we can continue with the interventions followed by your code. First we write the code, then we can go with the interventions. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to share you the clinical events notes right away. Thank you.